Hi everybody who's joining in. How you all? I'll start the live in like 2 minutes. How is health, everybody? How is everything going? Good evening, good evening. Also, I'm a student, I'm not a teacher. I see a teacher here. I recognize you. I see so many seniors, oh my god. So I've been a student of DPS. If some like people don't know, I've been a student of DPS Bhopal, like Ahmedabad, and I've been studying there since I studied there for like 12 years. I like graduated from DPS. It's such a blessing to be a part of. Should we start? Thank you, Calrex. So basically, Calrex has organized this K Talk where they call up people, and we talk about our industries and talk about what we've achieved in life. But I just want to give you a disclaimer that even though I haven't achieved much in life, I'm just on my journey. I am super glad. I'm super glad to be here and to be talking with you guys because. I've been a student of DPS. It just feels so amazing, and I feel super honored. Okay, so let me quickly introduce myself, and we can then start our life. I mean, I'm just starting it. Yeah, I'm super nervous, so don't, I might stutter a lot. Yeah. So, hi, my name is Diya Basu. And my name is Diya Basu, and I am a student at NIFT Mumbai. I'm in my fourth year right now, the last year, as we call it, and I'm doing my fashion communication course. Now, I've come to realize how how grateful I am for the people around me, because this is what I wanted to do all my life. Like, this is what I've come to do all my life, and I feel so blessed to have my school teachers, to have my parents all along this journey. I'll come to that part later where I really want to talk about it. Like, I really want to appreciate and acknowledge my teachers in this life, but I'll come to that part later. Now, the industry that I am in is the fashion industry. Now, how many of us think that fashion is an unconventional industry? I feel like जितने भी लोगों से I have talked, जितने भी लोगों से मैंने बात की है, सबने यही बोला है कि oh, that's an unconventional industry. You have taken something out very different. Hi ma'am, hi Jennifer ma'am, how are you? So yeah, oh, she was my teacher. Yeah, so you've taken something very different, but let's be honest, it's $1 billion industry, so it's no more unconventional. It's actually a very conventional industry right now. And when we talk about fashion as a brand, or like fashion as an industry, we generally think that it's more like just fashion designers and then people who sell clothes, right? But it's actually not true. That's literally not true. It includes, let me read it out to you. It includes distribution, marketing, retailing, advertising, promotion, styling, photography, and so much more. Hi ma'am, thank you, and so much more. And that's what we forget when we actually see fashion industry. You just see it as a narrow industry where there are fashion designers and then there are sellers, but actually no, it has like, it's so vast that it's conventional. Like, obviously $1 billion industry, right? So how I went into fashion. So this was about how I wanted to talk about how I went into fashion. So I was this fat, insecure kid. I'm still fat and I'm not insecure anymore, but I was this fat, insecure kid when I was young, and I always looked down upon my body, right? It all started with that. So I took help from my own art, and I started feeling good about it. Like, I didn't start feeling good about my body, but I actually drew things that I liked, and I started drawing things that would make other people feel better because I didn't feel good about it. So what I did was I used to draw clothes so that people wouldn't feel conscious wearing them. And even though I was conscious, I just took it out on art. And then I realized how I really liked art, and I really liked drawing designs, for like designs in the sense designing clothes. So I decided to become a fashion designer when I grew up. And that's like every girl who tries and draws dresses thinks she will become a fashion designer. And I till the last moment, like till the last day in 2017, when I actually graduated from I actually finished my 12th, I wanted to become a fashion designer. Then I got selected in NIFT. And I wanted to suddenly become a graphic designer. And by the way, this throughout this, I actually started my social media on Instagram in 2016. And I was so flattened and so happy to see creators who were so real, who were not afraid to show their bodies and show how secure they feel with their own bodies. I started gaining that confidence after I went on social media. Now, why I am talking about Instagram, I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, but why I'm talking about Instagram is because I am on a platform like Instagram, and actually that is taking me somewhere, that is helping me connecting. When in the 90s or in the 2000s, early 2000s, it's still early 2000, but like till 2006, 7, 8, 9, Instagram was just a platform where you could click pictures, put it up, look good, just like Facebook was a platform to connect with friends. Now it's a business platform, right? And people don't understand that. But now people are getting more aware that you can actually buy and sell products on Instagram. You can actually connect to major brands through Instagram. I'm very proud of this, so I'm going to tell you this. I recently got a feature in Cosmopolitan magazine for a street style issue. So that is one big achievement that I recently had, and that is only through connecting and through reaching out to people and through submitting my entries. And that's also because self-love came into the path, and I was more confident about myself, and I knew that I wanted to get into styling and not designing clothes. I wanted to wear it on myself. I wanted to dress people up so that they could be confident about my body. And that was my aim. Since the childhood, I wanted to make people confident about, and I wanted to make people believe that every body is good body. And that turned into my career. So what I want to say is that something so thoughtful can actually turn into your career. So never underestimate your thoughts. Write it down, keep it somewhere safe, and someday, one day when you'll go back and read the thoughts, you'll understand why you are what you are. And honestly, this sounds so philosophical, but this was true in my case. And I started styling, and let me tell you, most of it happened, like most of my social media demand increased. So I literally gained about 6,000 followers through the past 3 months. Uske pehle I had a stagnant Instagram following, okay? And I literally gained like 6,000 followers in the past 3 months. And that was only and only because I started networking. I started shooting daily. While my dad is also here, I really want to thank my parents, because while I was shooting daily, actually, we used to shoot at house, right? Shoot inside the house, because obviously you can't go out, and Corona, obviously the pandemic is going on, you can't go out. So I used to shoot in the house, and my dad and my mom, they just struggle to either, my mom just wakes up at 6 a.m. in the morning. I wake her up, and I asked her to click pictures. She was continuously there. She used to choose my pictures. She used to click my pictures. Sometimes she used to help me wear sarees. And this wouldn't be possible if my parents weren't open and supportive about what I want to do. Like when you're in a fashion industry, when you're in a fashion industry, but obviously you will do things that goes against the basic stereotypes of a, you know, of somebody's beliefs, right? Some people just don't, you know, some people won't really want to probably wear a bralette. They won't promote, like they won't like it, and that would go against their beliefs. But my dad and my mom, even though they weren't very comfortable with the idea of it at first, they understood that this will be there in my job, and I'll need to and they'll need to be comfortable with it. And by time, it took them a month max, and they were super comfortable. And that's what I feel like every parent should understand, that their kids are from a very different generation, and we millennials have a very different thought process. So all you need to do is coexist. Even us, for a matter of fact, we have to understand that they are from a very different generation, and all we need to do is coexist and understand each other and make each other understand, right? And even for them, even teachers, I'm so grateful for teachers who were some were super strict, some were super sweet, some were very neutral to me. I didn't have a very good conversation with them or a very long conversation with them. I was a very reserved person. I used to just talk to 2-3 friends that I had, but I was very open to them. So I was very loud but also very reserved. So the amount of conversation with the teachers that I had, I wanted to thank them because they were brutally honest to me. Either brutally honest or they were just very sweet and honest. But every time I wanted to do something, they were very honest. Meena Dambre ma'am, she recognized my talent. She was very, very honest to me. And even the teachers in my pre-primary, everybody was so nice. So yeah, I'm just saying that molding a child's future is literally in the hands of their teachers and their parents' support. If there is no support, if there is no self-love, if there is no there is no feeling of self-worth, I don't think anybody would really want to actually go ahead with their dream. They just think that they are worthless. But in my case, I just had immense support, be it anything. Even though I was insecure about my body, there were so many teachers like Jennifer ma'am herself. She was such a support throughout. Then I remember so many. Hukum Singh sir was amazing. Everybody. So many teachers. Pushpa ma'am. Yeah, so many teachers. Yeah, I remember. So I also want to tell you about the opportunities that you get through social media. So it's not just about features, it's also about brand opportunities that social media has introduced. So now if you are a brand called Shein, so I have been a Shein ambassador for a year now, and I have left the brand because it was a fast fashion brand, and fashion is moving towards sustainability, and we all have to be a lot more responsible when we are at it and when we are in a fashion industry. But before knowing the fact, or before very, very aware of the fact, before being very, very aware of the fact, I was a Shein campus ambassador, which was actually a very big deal for me because Shein basically took just 20 ambassadors throughout, and I was one of them. So I became an ambassador. I got a lot of attention towards my feed as well. So yeah, so everything was super nice. And then I also became an Amazon influencer. Now, if a lot of people think that content creating, that is creating something on Instagram or creating something on Facebook or creating something on some other social media platform, is just for views and fame. It's not that. It's actually literally branding that's happening. So you are basically becoming a brand. So when I create content, I'm actually branding myself. So this is me. So I am a very extra over the top person when it comes to styling myself and styling other people. Just like Ranveer Singh styles himself, if you have seen him. Most of us don't like him. I love how he styles himself. So I'm a very extra over the top person, right? My neighbor wouldn't like it. My neighbor might just not like it. But who would? I think the connection that I'm making on social media, people of my niche, people who would recognize my style would actually join in and would actually follow me. We would make a community, we would build up a brand, and that's how other brands such as Shein, such as Amazon will come to us. They will want us in their team. They would want us to be ambassadors. They would want us to be influencers. I even got a blue tick on Amazon. So, this is what happens. I even got selected for Myntra, and then I had my exams going on, so I couldn't go. But I got selected for the reality show, that is Myntra Fashion Superstar. So everything is on social media now. So let the person be on social media. Ask them to build a very, very conscious brand. You have to be yourself, but you also have to know that if you want to influence people, you need to take stands that are right. Your opinion is okay, but you also have to take stands that are ethical and right. And if you can't agree on that, just stay away from that opinion, because you don't want to spread negativity on social media. And that's what I have realized. Now, talking about something very interesting, there are a few myths about social media and styling as a whole, right? So people don't understand. I'm so sorry, just a minute. Yeah, so people think more subscribers, this is for all the students out there who think that more subscribers, I just have 8k subscribers right now, I'll reach 8k in a month or so. So for people who are actually listening and actually hearing me out, I just want to say that right now I'm at 7. So I just want to say that more subscribers, someone with 20k followers, who is a fashion blogger, who is into the fashion industry, someone who has 20k followers doesn't mean he is better than me or she is better than me. Doesn't mean that. It just means that either it means you are very, very good. The point being, you shouldn't be comparing. And more number of subscribers does not mean more number of better content, because some people just post very consistently and that's how they gain followers. So people who are becoming insecure, people who are insecure about how I'm basically, I have less followers, I think I'll never be successful. Take it slow, darling. Take it slow. Seriously, it will get better. The situation gets better and better. There is a niche of audience which recognizes you, and once it recognizes you, you are getting the right audience. I just have about 7,000 followers, and I love my audience. There is no person who is actually against the concept of a thick girl dressing up as she wants to. There is no person in my contact list, there is no person in my following who feels that. Because if you feel so, you wouldn't be following me, because I've made my content and my people so authentic and my followers so authentic. So focus on the quantity and not the quality, because the quality at the end of the day won't matter. Because the quality at the end of the day would matter and the quantity wouldn't. I'm so sorry. That was a blunder. If people used to, that was a blunder. So this is one myth that we had to burst. Number 2, amateurs are unprofessional. I have seen so many. In fact, people from DPS, kids from DPS who are on social media, like 14, 15, 16 years old kids who are on social media are doing so well in their career. They're doing so well in their career. I mean, when teachers just recognize this talent, and their family recognizes this talent, and their friends recognize this talent, and kids 16, 17, 15, 16 years old kids, when they come on social media and do actual productive stuff, they have a long way to go, because they have started early. I started super late. This was the year I realized I wanted to do styling, because uske pehle I wanted to do photography, and it's okay. Oh, by the way, I also tried my hands in modeling. So when you're living in Mumbai and you see a potential future there, you want to try your hands on everything and anything possible, and I'm telling you, this is a very good method of actually going about it, because with failures you actually understand what you actually wanted to do. So I tried modeling, and I went there, and it was a good experience. Everything was going good, and they said, perfect, you're good enough. And then they just asked for money. I was like, shouldn't you be paying me? And then I realized this was just a trick for them to get money. And yeah, so I actually did a lot of things. I also worked for an ad shoot for, I don't even remember the brand's name. It was a chips brand. And I thought I wanted to become an actor too, because I was in Mumbai. So everybody in Mumbai wants to become an actor nowadays. So did I. I thought I wanted to become an actor, and then I did this ad shoot, and the director actually just slammed me by saying that you look so, you're overacting, Dia. And I realized, oh my god, yes, I'm not good at it. So I got the money, but I still didn't get the feature, which I'm very happy about, because otherwise I just wouldn't be on social media anyhow. That was a big failure. And so the fact of the matter being that I have tried my hands on so many things, and I'm glad that I did, because by exploring I realized that I actually wanted to do styling, because my styling has an audience, has a very different audience. I don't have a very ordinary audience. My styling has a very, very different audience, and I'm glad that I'm setting marks for people. And that's what I get, these DMs, like the direct messages on Instagram, where people just tell me about how they are inspired, and that makes me so happy. Like, me being a person who used to be so insecure about myself is actually inspiring people to love themselves, to style the way they want, is actually so good. And that's what fashion influencers do. That's what fashion influencers actually do. You ask what the fashion industry does to you, they influence you to become a very, very, a better person, or like, if not a better person, they inspire you to become more confident about your body and wear whatever you want. Not everybody in the industry, but then you just have to find those picks. Like, not every controversial statement, not every teacher is good, but then you need to be around teachers who are actually good, and they, give you good vibes. And that's when you are actually, enjoying your school life. I literally have a love-hate relationship with my school. Like, I didn't know if I liked my school back then, because I really didn't have a lot of friends, because I was so reserved as a person. I don't know if I really didn't really interact a lot with teachers. So I was like, I really want to leave school ASAP. I don't want to stay here, this, that. But then I realized, as soon as I came out of school, I realized what a secure place it was. Like, when you get out in the real life and explore the industry, and a place such as fashion industry, which is so brutal. Like, if you're not doing anything early in your life, people are just like, oh, you've not achieved anything, darling. You're 21, and like at 21, I have seen so many people being models, being featured everywhere, are already assisting so many people, and I have not done that yet. Let me be honest, I have modeled, sure, and I've been good at it, like body positive modeling, but I have not yet really assisted someone in styling. And I feel like I have not assisted somebody in styling, but I feel like it'll come down late in my life, and I'll get a real character whom I can style, and I'll get somebody who actually understands, my niche and my audience and my style, and goes by it, and will have the same style. I think then I'll get the perfect person for me to, work with. And I feel like for some people it comes in early, for some people it comes in late. But if we just give up at this early of an age, we are just 21, and I have seen so many people giving up hopes about their jobs, their everything, their opportunities. I had a breakdown a few days ago, like a few months ago. I was crying, and I was just, listen, I don't think anything can happen with me. I'm not getting opportunities. But then I realized that there are so many people who are not getting opportunities, and there are so many people who bloom late in life, who get opportunities late in life. Why are we so insecure? Why are we so insecure about us not getting jobs. We are still in colleges. We'll still have our masters to complete. We'll still have an internship to do. We have so much to do, and we kids, millennials, are actually, there is one thing that is very, very sad about this generation. And also we have too many good things in our lives. We have technology, we have everything to support us. We are actually sitting at home and we can still work, we can still connect. So thanks to the millennial age. But the one thing that is wrong with it, and even in the fashion industry, everything, when you're fashion blogging, when you're a fashion blogger, there is one thing that you need to know, but people don't. People actually see faceless comments on your picture or on your video, and they suppose I am a fashion blogger, I see a faceless comment. I have made my place a very safe networking place on Instagram. But if I randomly see a faceless person, like a person who's just bullshitting about my hate comments, criticizing my style, and not a very good criticism, it's not a healthy criticism, I would probably not bother. But there are so many people who would start bothering, who would start nagging about it, who would just be so demoralized by the entire thing that they would stop blogging for a while. This is not how it works. They are faceless people. They are cowards, and that's why they are faceless on Instagram. They just want to spread hate, spread negativity. They're not criticizing you in the the criticism isn't positive. It isn't constructive. So don't go behind it. Always rely on people who are closer to you, or rely on people you think would actually give you constructive criticisms. And even if if an unknown person gives you a constructive criticism, try and take it, try and analyze it. And if even after that you think that it's not working for you, then you can always keep it aside. You're not bound to take criticisms from everybody and anybody. Like I have had people like some aunties of sorts who just said that I was I can't be in front of the camera. How are you doing modeling, wearing these clothes? You can't wear short clothes because you're too fat. And I made that my style. I literally made that my style. Shalini, hi auntie, hi ma'am. Your thoughts are, thank you so much. I mean, I try and be as honest as possible. I'm trying and being as honest as possible, because let me tell you one more fact about this industry and fashion blogging, for a matter of fact, that if you are not honest and if you keep manipulating people with a fake side of yours, a very happy jolly side of yours, but you're not truly very happy, you're not satisfied with the content you're posting, you're just posting it, one day you lose interest. You need to do something that you love. I tried and designed clothes, but then I realized I don't love it. I liked it. I didn't love it. I love styling. I love clothes, for a matter of fact. I love making one pair of clothes, like two. I get two outfits and I'll style it in 6 ways, and it'll look nice because I love it, and I have that creative space in me that loves and visualizes everything that way. And I also want people to take note of this, that sometimes like, just see my example. I'll take my example. Sometimes you just so you're a person who loves drawing, right? You love drawing. You're a person who loves drawing, and then, or maybe science. You love science. You're absolutely artificially in love with science, and you want to go somewhere in science. You have an infatuation, right? Infatuation would be the right word, because it's not love at the end of the day. So you have an infatuation for science, and your parents are like, listen Diya, I have an infatuation for science, and my parents are like, listen Diya, go become a scientist, go become an engineer. They narrow down the path to a scientist or an engineer. I just like science. doesn't mean I have to be directly connected to that area, doesn't mean I have to be directly work in that field. So a lot of parents don't, have, I'm so sorry. So a lot of parents have this notion where if a child really likes drawing, love drawing, they would send them into arts, or they would send them. A person can love drawing and still become an engineer. A person can love drawing and still work for become a scientist, or work for some other firm, or take commerce. But all we do is narrow down paths and narrow down so many areas of a child's brain that person thinks that is his or her path, and then regrets it later. For me, I love drawing, and I'm so glad that didn't happen to me. I love drawing, but I ended up in styling. I don't draw in styling. I don't have to draw anything in styling. I just have to visualize. So career options can be very, very indirect or completely different. And we need to understand as teachers and as parents, even if a person is really nice at something, let that person explore as much as possible. And when that person, or when that student, or when that kid is actually sure, if they actually want to take that subject up, go for it. Then you have all the rights to actually push that person towards the end, towards a place where he could rise. But before that, I think pushing up, because I've seen so many kids in NIFT itself who don't want to do designing anymore, who are broken, who want to take a dropout, and after spending all that money, dropout isn't the best option. And that's what happens when, and all of them, the people I talked to, all of them just said that they were actually forced to take it because they liked designing in the first place. They just liked it. So and I just also want to break the stereotype by telling you and letting you know about the career opportunities in India as well for fashion in the fashion industry. Because again, as I mentioned before, fashion can be thought as a limitation, as you can be either a fashion designer or a stylist, but not really. It's actually a long list. I would like to read it for you. I think you'll love it. And I think that it'll come as a shock, because most of the people we see around us can be from the fashion industry, and they themselves don't know that they are from the industry. So it's actually a very commercial market right now. So I'll just read it out for you. Starting with fashion designers, the obvious, then stylists, the second obvious, and then merchandisers, graphic designers, textile designers, creative directors, photographers, product developers, quality assurance managers, production managers, sales associate, and then we have fashion bloggers, lifestyle bloggers. So many people. Why are we so narrowed? Why do we have such a narrowed view about fashion? Fashion is a huge industry, and if you, my friend, are good at it, at any of these options, or are good at even something close to it, you can always go in, because it's $1 billion industry, and it will only keep growing. Now, I just want to end it by saying a very small thing about fashion, and about the industry, where it is going right now, and what do we see of it in the future. Fashion has a very sustainable future. As we know, it takes gallons and gallons of water to make one pair of jeans, and people have come to realize that it's not a very good option to buy a lot. So people are, and support the locals as well. Everything is coming into place, and fashion in India and across the world is becoming more sustainable. People are becoming more aware of the social causes. In fact, fashion helps so many people to, be socially aware through their shows or through their appearances. There is so much that fashion actually does to a person. You're wearing something, you're wearing fashion. You're representing something, you're representing fashion. You are wearing a sari, you are representing your culture. You're wearing a jeans, you're representing modernism. There is so much that is happening just through one pair of one set of clothes. this is what fashion does to you. So never, like, you cannot underestimate fashion actually. And the fact that it is becoming more sustainable, it is taking one step forward for its growth, for its it's just growing as a community of sorts. So it's just going to get better in the future. So anybody and everybody whose child or whose niece, whatever, anybody who wants to get into fashion, even you teachers, even you, just let them. It's a beautiful place to be in. It's very tough. It's a very tough industry. It is very tough to get in, but then you'll never want to get out. It's that good. So that's it. Do you have any questions or of sorts, or are we like, this is what I wanted to say. Oh, I also recently got 2 features on Komal Pandey's page. Now Komal Pandey is one of the biggest fashion bloggers in India. So that was one great achievement that happened to me in lockdown, along with Cosmopolitan. Yeah. Any questions? I'll just wait for like 1 minute if we have any questions. I've gotten so many sweet compliments. Thank you. Hi Varsha ma'am. Hi mom. Priyanka Basu is here. Archana ma'am. Hi everybody. Hi Indrani ma'am. So good to see you all. Oh my god, it's so nice. Thank you Shalini ma'am. Okay, great. So as we already are done with all our questions, I would just like to conclude by something that I wrote. Like a very, it's literally not a poem. It's just a very small thing that I would like to address the younger generation here. I'm obviously a part of the younger generation, but the younger generation, like the teens right now. So yeah, to all the students out there who are, you have a long way to go. Life can either be super kind very early or will take its own sweet little time. But it'll, at the end of the day, come to you and give you a pep talk you ever needed. So that's it. I have had these pep talks like so many times, either through my mom or through my dad, who always believed in me. And she's still watching me in the next room. Wow, okay. But, that's about it. Just wait for your opportunity, work hard till you actually see the rainbow outside your window. Thank you. That's it. And I want to thank K-Dog and Calorex page again for giving me this opportunity to get back to so many people, so many familiar faces, and so many teachers. It's been an honor to I always wanted to go up on that DPS stage and talk to people, and talk to people as an alumni, as a grown-up, and I'm so happy I got this opportunity. Thank you so much. That's it. Do you have any questions, or we can end the live? Okay, thank you. Bye. Enjoy your week and weekend.